Morning, YouTube. Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Great stream last night. Really appreciated. That was quite a cichlid supercell that we ended up seeing. You missed out. Video will be in the top right corner. But there was one supercell that we watched for what felt like an eternity. Produced well over 10 tornadoes. I think the final count may actually be closer to 12. But we saw at least 9 of those confirmed on stream. In total, yesterday was pretty active, especially across the western high plains. There's where that supercell was, with those red dots being the tornado reports. Also produced 5-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this storm literally had it all. It was incredible. Fortunately, some damage did get done, so sadly that occurred. But at the same time, though, it doesn't seem like there were any injuries from what I've heard so far. Let's hope that stays. We hope that trend keeps going, obviously. Also, a pretty active day towards South Georgia here. Also, a couple tornadoes over towards the Cape Cod region, over towards Massachusetts. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We have another enhanced risk. And, I mean, really, if you look down the stretch here, we're going to be on here a lot. Because we have slight risk on Thursday, Friday, and even a day 5 on Sunday, which is crazy for this time of year at least. We briefly touched on the enhanced risk setup last night towards the end of the stream. We still haven't seen too much change with these areas. Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, still in that enhanced risk. Springfield, Missouri, still in there as well. Slight risk includes St. Louis, Jefferson City, Evansville, Kentucky, Bowling Green, Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham in there now as well. Little Rock, Tulsa, and then of course even the marginal risk stretches all the way out towards South Carolina, includes my city, Atlanta, all the way up towards Ohio here, includes Cincinnati, Springfield, Ohio, also looking at Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, Peoria, and even stretches all the way back towards Norman and Oklahoma City region. So very widespread area of severe weather. Close to 50 million people are under the gun today. Enhanced risk is driven by wind today instead of hail, but there's also a 5% tornado threat. This is a very conditional 5%, though, and we'll briefly touch on that. We went into greater detail last night with that, and now the hail threat has been upgraded to 15%. So it's going to be a pretty busy day here, it looks like. I'll try to get home and cover as much of this as I can as early as I can. That being said, let's get into it here. Looking at the 200 here, still looks like a pretty robust setup from this height towards 200. We do have a jet streak that develops here, and it's in a good spot. But the main thing to look at would be more so towards 700 millibars. There's a pretty decently pronounced shortwave that pops up here. So I don't know if this trend is continued into last night, but I see a nice little pocket right here at 700 for sure. The thing is with this setup over here towards Arkansas and southern Missouri here is the fact that there is a little bit of inhibition here that could come into play from the looks of it. It's actually quite a bit of inhibition here. When I look through all levels of the atmosphere, the one thing that I'm seeing a little bit of a lack of is forcing. And that's going to be a key factor in whether or not that cap breaks. There's also other parameters that come into play as well. But when I look at things, particularly from 500 or so, it's not really a surface low or upper level low that's going to move that inhibition to allow for storms to fire as quickly as we would, or for storms to fire as quickly as we would need them to take advantage of the parameters. But if things could ramp up and that cap somehow ends up breaking, it could be a big day over here too. Like I said, there's not much in the way of any sort of lifting mechanism. That's really what we're looking for at this point. I look at both models and I haven't really seen much of anything. As far as temperatures and dew points are concerned, the environment's more than favorable for tornadic development. By the time we get towards 20 to 23Z, that's when I would expect peak opportunity for severe weather if the cap breaks. But we get into the 80s and some places into the 90s here. So still looking pretty dangerous at this point. So it seems like we could still get enough daytime heating to maybe break the cap, but still looks like from what I've seen last night, it's pretty strong. Dew points here are more than ample over towards this region. There's a very good flow of moisture coming from the Gulf at this point. Plenty of 70s, even a couple 80s emerge over here towards East Oklahoma. So moisture's in place. We have decent wind shear. The real question is there's going to be a line of storms that comes in early. And if this cloud cover holds out throughout the day, then this is going to help limit severe weather potential. And when you see this thick blue color here, that's nearly completely overcast skies at this point, which is kind of what we want in this case for severe weather. You kind of don't want to see any sun here, because if the sun comes out in this case, we could have some big problems. But we'll see how this develops throughout the afternoon here. If we get some breaks in the clouds here and there, those are definitely going to be some spots to watch over here in particular, especially towards northern Arkansas. So now I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at severe weather potential. We'll start out by looking at how much convective available potential energy, or CAPE, is available. It's a good measure of energy, of the energy in the atmosphere, or instability. So as we can see here, we have some pretty high CAPE values. This is mixed layer. This isn't quite even looking towards the surface. We're already at 20 or 3,200 joules per kilogram here. The cap does look a little bit weaker than it once did, and this is towards northern Arkansas here. This looks interesting. So from the loop that we have here on the 0 to 3 kilometer, I am a little bit more concerned about the tornado threat than I was before. This is rather high. But like I said, this negative 70 right here is a sign of convective inhibition. Storm could be a little bit elevated, but we'll have to see what happens with that. But this has a high ceiling, low floor type event, as one of the mods called it. Contingent said low floor, high ceiling event. But yeah, if this can get going, I am very concerned about this setup. There's a very strong storm relative felicities, good shear, just everything looks pretty good. So the question will be if we can break that cap. And here's a better look at the convective inhibition, or where the cap is going to be strongest. Don't normally look at this map all the time, because there's been plenty of times this year where it hasn't quite been as relevant. But it does kind of look like we do get a little bit of weakening happening here. Maybe that low-level jet that kicks in general might be enough of a lift source to kind of kick that cap out of there. It's questionable. The window is somewhat small, but I don't know. It's going to be a touch-and-go setup regardless still. But currently that's a 5% area for the tornado threat that we're looking at right now. There could be an upgrade if this weakens enough, but we'll see what happens. Wouldn't be surprised if a 10% hatch risk were to develop. That being said, go ahead now and take a look at what the radar could look like across this region in particular. We do expect another MCS to develop later this afternoon, because here's the first one that comes through in the morning, and this is what's going to drag in all that cloud cover. But it looks like some of the storms kind of stayed north of where that where the most tornado potential seems to be right now, according to reflectivity. Of course, this isn't the newest HRRR model. That's still loading, actually, so just going with what I have here. But towards the overnight here, as we get towards Tennessee, that's when things really start to ramp up here as well. It's going to be a pretty long stream. I don't know if I'll be able to cover all of it. I'm going to try to get close. Then for the morning, this could affect my work day, maybe even, because by about 6 or 7 o'clock, these storms will enter my area, also into northern Alabama and parts of northern Mississippi. And then throughout the day, we're probably going to see a good bit of rain heading into the afternoon. So So hopefully you don't get a rain out on my end, but if so, I'll be streaming the morning side of this as well as tonight's event as well. That being said here though, hope you found this video useful. It was a quick update. I gotta go ahead and get ready for work. If you found it useful though, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Definitely hit that share button as well, because it could be a big day, it could be a nothing burger, but either way, I want you to just be prepared. Also, if you're seeing this video, seeing this channel for the first time today, definitely would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, especially with us being so close to 500. Appreciate you guys as always. Hope to see you again later this afternoon. Until then, this has been Tire Metalhead Weatherman. Until next time, have a nice day.